Welcome, sports bettors from around the world.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Sports Gambling Daily for a Monday. It is November 18th. It's Philly and Jared in the morning. I got my boy Philly over there in Pennsylvania. That's right, Philadelphia. What's up, Philly?
How are you? Good morning. Happy Monday to you, sir.
Hey, I'm great, man. Had a long weekend. For most of you guys, my wife was in the hospital. She had major back surgery, and I am happy to say she's able to. She got through the surgery fine. Everything was good there, and she was able to move her legs. She was actually able to get out of bed yesterday and take a little lap. It wasn't a lot, but hey, it was a big deal for us, and I'm excited. I'm excited for her. So thank you, everybody that reached out to me. I mean, I had a lot of people do that, and I really appreciate everybody reaching out and in the thoughts and prayers. And we're on the road to recovery here.
Nice, man. That's awesome. I know you were super worried about that, so I'm so happy to hear that.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was definitely it was just not a fun time. So, all right, but we're going to move on to a little NBA basketball. Philly, we got a big card today, so we're going to jump right into this video. It isn't taking forever. We got Cleveland versus New York. Start this show off. Cleveland versus New York. We got New York -2 right now. Open up at 2.5, -2. Cleveland's been playing decent. Withstanding their last game versus the 76ers, but they've been playing halfway decent. Cleveland 4-5 against the spread versus New York 4-6 against the spread.
Yeah, I agree with you. They were actually playing very well up until this past game, and they played a couple nights ago in the game. They only lost by 1 to the Sixers, so
right.
It was definitely a revenge factor. With that being said, I mean, even New York, after all the turmoil that's been going on with them, their last couple of games, they showed some pride and have come out and played a little bit. And Cleveland on a back-to-back. New York playing a little bit better at home. 2-point spread. I'm probably leaning New York in this, to be frankly honest with you. And they're not too banged up. They got a couple injuries, but most of these guys have been out for a while anyway, so it's not really affecting much.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll take New York as well. And we'll move on to Charlotte versus Toronto. Charlotte versus Toronto. Man, Charlotte has surprised me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were one of the worst teams, and they might still be. But 6-7 overall record, 7-3 against the spread versus Toronto, which is 8-4 overall and 6-4 against the spread. Toronto -9 currently, and I'm gonna ask you: do you think this line is just a little too big? I know Toronto's probably one of the better teams not in the East, but they're like you got your elite teams like Boston and Sixers and those guys, but then you have like your second tier, and they're probably at the top of that second tier.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, Charlotte is not a very good team, but they do have some young upcoming talent and, guys that are trying to prove themselves in this league a little bit. I just feel like Charlotte gives their best effort when they're hitting threes. They shoot a lot of them. And if they make them, they stay there. And, yeah, Toronto, the line is a little big, to be frankly honest with you. I mean, I could see cases certainly where Toronto would win this game and cover, but I might lean Charlotte with the points at 9, to be honest. And maybe it gets to 10 if people are really picking Toronto to win this.
Yeah, well, they opened up at 9.5, and now it's dropped a half point. So we'll see. We keep our eye on it. I kind of lean a little bit Charlotte, but I have to look into this one a little more. Let's move on to the Pacers versus the Brooklyn Nets. Now, do we have any clue if Kyrie is going to play in this game?
No, it has him as a game time still, suffering from a shoulder impingement. I think it just comes down to whether or not it's a pain thing for him, really, and it was affecting his shot. So
sure,
they may want to get out ahead of it a little bit, just because it's a long season and they do have some aspirations of making the playoffs. And frankly, Dinwiddie played really well as his replacement. Weirdly enough, they play more like a team when he's not in there.
Right.
Kyrie's a lot of isolation, people watching this, they moving the ball around. They're a different team without him. Not saying they're necessarily better, but they're different.
Real quick, do you remember when he played with Boston last year? People said the same thing. When he was in there, they said he actually made the team worse than when he was playing or when he wasn't playing.
Look what Kemba's doing. Kemba has made that team a totally different team. I mean, it's a night and day difference. I agree, man. I don't know. I mean, I can't take away from what Kyrie is. He's a hell of a player, but it's a little bit of me basketball. With that being said, though, I mean, the other side, Indiana's kind of banged up too. Brogdon's game time. McConnell, their backup quarterback, backup point guard is game time. Sabonis is game time. So I don't know. I like Indiana. They're playing really well recently, but I just got to keep attention to these lineups. It's so hard to pick something with this. This game's weird, man.
Well, currently the line's -4.5 to Brooklyn, which is the home team here, and
Yeah.
the Pacers are 6-3 against the spread. They just got throttled their last game. We had the under in that one. I can't remember who were they playing. Do you remember?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
I can't remember. It was just on Saturday. I don't know why I can't remember. But anyway,
Busy week.
but then it was the Brooklyn Nets 5-5 against the spread. I think I'm going to go Nets here. Just I wasn't impressed with how the Pacers played just the other day, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to revisit this.
I can understand that.
All right, guys, we're gonna have we have a contest like we do every single episode, and today's contest is going to be on Portland versus the Houston Rockets. Real simple, guys. If you can guess the exact score of Portland versus Houston, and you put that in the comments, you get the exact score correct, you get a week's worth of our premium selections for free. And there's 3 rules, Philly. Why don't you go and tell them what the rules are?
Well, you got to you can't edit your post if you place something and it's wrong. You have to erase the post. Essentially, is one of them. Let's see here. There is a couple. I'm forgetting what the rules are now. All of a sudden, that's hilarious. I know that was one of them though. Help me along.
I can help you out. So you can't edit your post. You can only post once.
That's cool.
And then what was the other one? Jeez. Man, this is a shit show all of a sudden. Man, there was one other one. You can't edit your post. You can only post once. And hell, I can't. We'll figure it out. And you can't post after game time.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, that should be the most obvious one. So
sorry, guys.
All right, Portland versus Houston. Houston -6.5 to start the spread here, and they're 6-4 against the spread versus a road team in Portland, 4-5 against the spread. But they're 5-3 on the road here. So, what do you think? Portland coming into Houston and getting something done?
I mean, do you know? Maybe you would know better. I'm seeing a lot of game times and inactives on the Houston side. Danielle House game time. Clint Capella was out with a concussion. I'm assuming they wouldn't rush him along.
Yeah, I haven't heard much on my end. Capella didn't seem like he was too hurt as he was dancing on the sidelines with James Harden. Danielle House, in my opinion, is not really a big contributor to the team. Never really been too impressed with the guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not there by the end of the season. Even though he is part of the starting lineup, but he's a hometown guy. But I think that they'll move on during the trade deadline. But to answer your question, I don't have any definitive answers if they're going to play or not.
I don't. If the big guys are in the lineup, I don't see Westbrook or Harden look like they're out for any reason. Eric Gordon is inactive. I know that hurts a little bit, but Portland is really, really missing their big guys on the other side. Not having Zach Collins or Nurkic has been killing them, and Hassan Whiteside just frankly is. He just does nothing, man. He's got all the talent in the world and doesn't bring it every night, and it's killing them. So, with that being said, I kind of lean Houston in this situation, to be honest, especially being at home. They seem to play really well there.
Yeah, I think I lean Houston as well, -6.5. They're really starting to gel, and 10-3 record that nobody's talking about.
That's right.
Everybody's talking about Boston and the likes of those other teams, but a lot of people they never give Houston the I don't know, man.
Respect, man.
No respect over here for H-Town, baby.
Yeah, I'm totally honest with you. I didn't even realize myself they were 10-3, so that does tell you something.
That's right. You can't hold us down forever. H-Town, raise up. All right, Milwaukee versus Chicago. +7.5 for Chicago right now, and I just don't think it's enough. I know they played them tough, and last year that Chicago played Milwaukee tough. There was a couple times where Chicago had almost won a couple of those games, and they just got pulled away on. But Chicago, 7.5 at home, I still don't think it's enough. Give me Milwaukee in the spot.
Agreed. And Levine is a game time decision, although probable, but something to monitor at least. I mean, but I even with him in there, I totally agree that I think Milwaukee's going to get him pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, now they do play them tough guys though. If you go back and watch all these games, I remember there's one game. I think Chicago was actually up by like 20 points almost at halftime on Milwaukee last year, and Milwaukee ran away with it. So that's something you got to keep your eye on. San Antonio, so that's a good live spot there because if Chicago gets out hot on these guys, Milwaukee, you might be able to get Milwaukee at like -3. That's a surefire win in my opinion. San Antonio versus Dallas, little Texas rivalry here. Real quick, -4.5 for the boys in the Big D. 7-5 record, 4-6 against the spread. Philly. Going against San Antonio, man, which is not playing all that great. 3-7 against the spread, and 1-4 on the road.
Yeah, it's going to be possibly a good matchup. I think we got a little Texas matchup here. It was San Antonio and Dallas. It's in Dallas. Obviously, you have two pretty legit stars in Dallas right now, Porzingis and Luka, and they got a nice supporting cast around them. I really like their bench. They got some shooting. San Antonio, they've been a little up and down. They haven't been covering many spreads at all. Frankly, kind of been a disappointment in my opinion.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'd like to see kind of how the lineups roll out, but I think I'd probably be leaning Dallas in this spot. I mean, it is only 4.5, and they do tend to play really well at home. I could actually see this line maybe going to 5, but that was where I'd be leaning, at least early on for sure.
Yeah, the one note I see here that kind of concerns me is Dallas is 1-5 against the spread at home. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing I'm a little worried about here. All right, let's rapid fire these next 3, but actually it's kind of hard for me to rapid fire this next one because this one I kind of don't understand. Maybe you can help me out. Boston versus the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is -3 at home versus Boston. Now I know Boston's been playing like crap the last 2 games versus Golden State, and they just lost to the Sacramento Kings. They're playing off a back-to-back on the road. But man, are we really going to lay 3 for Phoenix?
You're saying you think it should be what? It should be more or less.
I think Boston getting points on the road, I think, is a little eye-opening.
The only thing I could think of with this is now that 10-game winning streak is over, I'm wondering if they're planning on, sitting anybody or any load management situations in this spot. Because I kept thinking, if they kept the streak going, they would keep going until they lost. Because, why do you want to hop in front of that? But they lose yesterday. I hear you. I mean, I don't know. That would be my thought. I don't see anything here that says anybody's out other than Langford and Hayward on that end, but I want to monitor that because I kind of like Phoenix in this spot, to be totally honest with you.
You do like Phoenix in this spot, laying the points?
I do. I just like the way they've been playing, and frankly, I think they have the right amount of big guys and scoring to be able to stay with Boston. I'm very curious to see if Boston ends up sitting anybody today. I think that could be reflected in what you're looking at.
Sure. Well, to your point, Philly or not Philly. The Suns are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. And we've seen a lot of that, man. I mean, they've been playing everybody tough. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Phoenix, but have to lean. I think overall Boston's the better team, but I think you're right. We got to see if they are sitting anybody. It's a back-to-back, and they're on this West Coast swing that I'm sure they can't wait to get back home.
Aaron Baines is an ex-Celtic, so not to say he's necessarily a huge difference maker, but I know he'll be wanting to bring it tonight.
Sure. And, we also got to be careful. This could be one of those public dog situations where you're like, like you look at this and like, man, how's Boston getting +3? Next thing you know, Phoenix wins by 10.
That's right.
Just keep your eye on it. All right, rapid fire next 2 guys. Let's see here. We got Minnesota versus Utah. You got Utah -10. I'm going to take the Timberwolves +10.
Yeah, that line seems a little bit big to me. I agree. Especially if Wiggins is in, because he's been playing really well over the last stretch of games. If Wiggins is in and they're relatively healthy, I like Minnesota with the points.
All right, Oklahoma City versus the Clippers. Clippers are at home, -8.5. OKC, man, they're one of the most inconsistent teams in the league, in my opinion. Record 5-7, 0-4 on the road. They haven't won a road game this year. At least that's what I'm showing here. And then against the spread, they're 2-2 on the road versus a LA team that is 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. I think I'm going to take what I've noticed is Oklahoma City doesn't play the good teams well, and they play the bad teams really well. And this is one of those good teams as long as you got Kawhi playing.
Yeah.
Give me the Clippers -8.5.
Yeah, and I think if you like the Clippers, you probably should just take them as early as you can because I could just see money coming in, and that line might move a little bit for sure.
Right.
I agree with you, though. Yes.
All right, that'll do it for today's show, Philly.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Obviously, if there's any content you want to hear, let us know. We can't wait to see your scoring predictions for the contest today. And I'm sure we'll be back tomorrow morning around the same time. And once again, thank you so much for checking us out. We really appreciate it.
Yep, you are correct, man. I guess we'll go and bounce on out of here. If you want our premium selections, it's www.sgdwins.com. $99 a month gets you the whole freaking package. Come on and get it. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, Philly, or I'll see you later on today, but I'll see you on YouTube tomorrow, and let's have a good day.
Have a great morning, everybody.
All right, from my boy Philly, my name's Jared, and you've been watching Sports Gambling Daily for a Monday.